These salt dough ornaments are such a fun family activity to do with the kids. They are very easy to make, and they're really good keepsake gifts that you can give to family members. The recipe is so simple. There are 3 ingredients. Use flour, so I'm using about 4 cups of flour here. Then we use table salt, so you want a fine salt, not a coarse salt. I'm adding all the table salt, and I'm going to mix these dry ingredients together before I add the warm water. It's important that you use warm water for this recipe just because it makes the dough a lot more flexible and easy to work with. So I'll add my warm water here. And there will be a bit of kneading that we need to do with this recipe, but it's really very minimal. My kids actually really enjoy kneading dough. It allows them to sort of get involved with the process, and it becomes sort of like a Play-Doh activity where they get to, manipulate the dough and sort of make shapes with it. And it won't hurt the final product here because we are not baking any sort of cake or bread or, anything like that. This is really just an activity to create a nice keepsake for our family. So I'm kneading the dough. I'm just going to try to get it all, clumped together in one ball. My daughter helps me out to roll up my sleeves here, which I forgot to do. Her hands were cleaner than mine at this point. You can see that there's a lot of loose dough on the countertop, but as I knead this ball, it will start to incorporate. It doesn't take long for it to all come together. Right now, I only have one daughter who wants to help me out, or who kind of knows what I'm doing and has spotted me making a dough ball here in the kitchen. But soon I will get my older one in on this too. As they get older, they're actually becoming a lot more helpful in the kitchen. So I was able to give them the dough ball there and have them knead it while I tended to another child. It's so fun to look back on the years and the salt dough ornaments that they created. I can see their sort of advancement in skills with the way that they decorate them, and even the whole process of making them. They become a lot more helpful and, a lot more capable as they get older. Once the dough has been fully kneaded and is nice and soft, softer than it was, it's still a little hard to work with. Now it's time for me to roll out the dough. So I will kind of put my back into this a bit, and it will take a little while for me to flatten it. You want it to get to about 1/8 of an inch. If you notice that it's becoming too difficult to roll it out, just give it a couple minutes, let it rest, it will relax, and then it'll be a lot easier to roll it out. Now, of course, I'm always on a time crunch with my many kids. So what I did is I just, put a bit more effort into it, and it took a little longer to roll out, but that was fine. I had my son actually helping me here, and I was glad he was able to come and enjoy the process as well, because really the activity's for the kids. So I want to make sure that they have fun doing it too. So one of the first things I wanted to make this year that I've never done before is little handprint ornaments. These will be used not on the tree because they're a little bit big, but I wanted to just hang them on some garland somewhere. I didn't have a great plan for it at this point, but I thought it would be a really cool keepsake to have. So I got each one of my kids to come and press their hands down on the dough, and then I cut it out in a circle, and that's how I will bake it. I saw a cute little activity where you could paint these into reindeer shapes. I don't know if my kids will want to do that. They may just want to paint them multicolored and, just go crazy with them. And that's fine because I want them to have fun doing this as well. So I get one of my middle children there to come and put her hand down, and I do the same thing as I did with my sons. It's also going to be fun to see every year how their hands grow and, to collect over the years these handprints. I hope to be able to do them every year. While I was making these, I realized that the dough was a little bit thick. So these would take a lot longer for me to cook to dry them than the actual ornaments that I make later on. So the thinner you have your dough, the quicker that they will dry in the oven, and the quicker you'll be able to move on to the next step of painting it. We had plenty of ornaments to paint, so I was not in a rush to get these handprints painted. And I actually let them sort of sit out for a couple of days just to make sure that they were fully dry before we got to painting them. So the next daughter's up. She was excited to do this too because she saw the handprints that her 2 siblings had made. You really want to make sure to press down their hands quite hard on the dough so that it really makes a decent indentation, because it will sort of fluff up a tiny bit as you bake it. Usually what I do after I bake it is I make sure to write their name and the year on the back of it, just so we don't forget, because as the years pass, I know things can sort of blend together. And I want to make sure that we remember whose handprint is whose and when we did it. So last up is the baby, and I mean, she was the most difficult to get her handprint, but nevertheless, we did it. And it was the quickest ornament, of course, to dry because it was the smallest. So once I got all of the handprints picked out of this dough, and I cut the shapes out and I put them on the parchment paper behind me, then I brought out some fun cookie cutters, and we're going to make different shape ornaments. So I had some gingerbread men, some Christmas trees. I think I had a candy cane and a star. And so my kids were happily making shapes. I really let them go at it. I didn't sort of guide them too much here. They were able to do it more independently, and they were even able to re-roll the dough so that they could keep using the little scraps and making new Christmas ornaments with it. So here's the final product. And one of the important steps to have is to use a straw or even like a chopstick to poke a hole in them so that you'll be able to put twine or a string through. Once they were fully dry, it was time to paint. After we painted, we'll add the twine so that they can hang them, and we'll give these to various family members as Christmas presents and memories.